I should have known something was wrong when Olivia started humming while folding laundry. My wife hadn't hummed in 3 years, not since we'd moved to this suffocating suburban paradise called Hawthorne Pines, where every lawn is perfectly manicured and every secret is perfectly hidden behind designer curtains. "You're in a good mood," I said, watching her from the kitchen doorway as she folded my shirts with unusual care. Too much care, actually. She was treating my old concert t-shirts like they were made of silk. Can't a woman be happy? Olivia glanced up, her blonde hair catching the afternoon light streaming through our bay window. At 33, she still looked like the real estate agent who could sell ice to penguins, which, coincidentally, was exactly what she did for a living in our overpriced neighborhood. "Sure, but you're humming the theme from Jeopardy! That's either really good news or really bad news, disguised as good news." She laughed, but it sounded forced. "You're paranoid, Lucas. Maybe I'm just excited about Richard's Halloween party tonight." Richard Chen was my work buddy at Morrison & Associates, where I spent my days crafting ad campaigns for products nobody needed. He threw legendary parties, the kind where suburban parents could pretend they were still young and interesting for exactly 4 hours before returning to their mortgages and minivans. Right, the party. I grabbed a beer from the fridge. The annual gathering where pirates, catwomen, and midlife crises mingle in perfect harmony. Your sarcasm is showing again. It's one of my best features. Olivia's phone buzzed on the counter. She lunged for it with the reflexes of a cat, which was suspicious because she usually let calls go to voicemail. The screen lit up with a text from Susie Martinez, her best friend and fellow real estate agent. "Susie again?" I asked. "She's just excited about tonight." "We're coordinating costumes. Let me guess, you're going as something that requires very little fabric, and Susie's going as your moral support. You know what? Sometimes I think you don't want me to have fun." There it was, the edge in her voice that had been creeping in over the past few months. Like I was the villain in our marriage story, the boring husband who didn't appreciate his vivacious wife. "I want you to have fun. I just want to understand why you need Susie's permission to breathe lately." Olivia's jaw tightened. "She's my friend, Lucas. My best friend. Maybe if you had friends besides Richard, you'd understand." Ouch! Direct hit to the social life. "I didn't mean—" "No, you're right. I'm a social disaster. It's amazing you can stand to be seen with me in public." She softened, probably realizing she'd pushed too hard. "That's not what I meant. You're just different from the other husbands." "Different how?" "You think too much, analyze everything. Most guys just go with the flow. Most guys, not me. I was apparently some other species entirely." My phone rang, Richard calling about party logistics. While I talked to him about ice and beer runs, I watched Olivia in my peripheral vision. She was texting furiously, her fingers flying over the screen with the intensity of someone coordinating a military operation. When I hung up, she was already heading upstairs. "I'm going to start getting ready," she called down. "This costume is complicated." "Need help?" "No. I mean, no thanks. It's a surprise." "A surprise. Right." I settled into my home office, a converted spare bedroom where I pretended to work on freelance projects, but mostly just browsed the internet and questioned my life choices. Through the thin walls, I could hear Olivia's voice, muffled but animated. She was on the phone, probably with Susie, planning their grand entrance. "Can't wait to see his face." Drifted through the wall. His face? Whose face? I pressed my ear to the wall like a creep, but Olivia had moved to the bathroom. The shower started running, which meant I had maybe 30 minutes before she emerged as whatever sexy character she'd chosen to torment the married men of Hawthorne Pines. Her tablet was on the kitchen counter, forgotten in her rush to get ready. The screen was dark, but I knew her password, our anniversary, because she wasn't as clever as she thought she was. I shouldn't have looked. That's what I told myself even as my finger traced the unlock pattern. Invasion of privacy, breach of trust, all those marriage counselor phrases we'd never needed before. The tablet opened to her messages, and there it was, a group chat called Halloween Planning with Susie and someone named Danny. Danny. I scrolled up, my stomach sinking with each message. Danny, can't wait to see you tonight. It's been too long. Olivia, I know. I can't believe Susie convinced Richard to invite you. Susie, what are friends for? Besides, it's about time you two reconnected. Danny, that costume better be as hot as you described. Olivia, you'll have to wait and see, but I think you'll approve. Susie, get a room, you two. Olivia, maybe we will. The shower was still running upstairs. My hands were shaking as I scrolled further back, finding weeks of messages I'd somehow missed. Flirtation disguised as friendship, inside jokes that excluded me, plans made behind my back. Danny. Daniel Morrison, Olivia's ex-boyfriend from college, the gym owner who'd broken her heart 10 years ago before she'd settled for safe, boring me. Lucas? Olivia's voice from upstairs. Can you grab my black heels from the closet? Sure, I called back, my voice sounding normal despite the fact that my world was currently imploding. I closed the tablet and placed it exactly where I'd found it, then trudged upstairs to get my wife's shoes, the ones she'd wear while flirting with her ex-boyfriend at a party I'd helped organize. The black heels were in their usual spot, nestled between her running shoes and the boots she wore to show houses to unsuspecting buyers. I grabbed them and knocked on the bathroom door. Here are your shoes. Just leave them outside the door. Thanks, honey. Honey. She called me honey while planning to reconnect with Danny at a party full of our friends and neighbors. I sat on our bed, staring at the framed photo on the nightstand, our wedding day 5 years ago. We looked happy. Young and stupid and happy, like we believed in forever. The bathroom door opened, and Olivia emerged in a cloud of perfume and steam, wrapped in her terry cloth robe. You should start getting ready, she said, not meeting my eyes. Richard said 8 o'clock, and you know how long it takes you to decide on a costume. I'm going as a pirate, same as last year. That's very consistent of you. It's one of my best features, remember? Boring consistency. She finally looked at me, and for a moment I thought I saw guilt flicker across her face. But then she smiled, that real estate agent smile that could close any deal. You're not boring, Lucas. You're just you. And apparently, that wasn't enough anymore. Richard's house was a suburban mansion masquerading as a humble family home, complete with a 3-car garage and enough square footage to house a small village. Halloween decorations covered every surface, fake cobwebs, plastic skeletons, and fog machines that made the whole place look like a haunted nightclub. Ahoy, matey! Richard appeared at the front door in a vampire costume that made him look like a tax attorney who'd raided a costume shop. Ready to party like it's 1699? That's oddly specific, I said, adjusting my pirate hat. Also historically inaccurate. Your wife looks amazing, by the way. She's already inside, holding court by the bar. Of course she was. The living room was packed with our neighbors and friends, all dressed as their fantasy selves. Superheroes, movie characters, and professions they'd never actually pursue. The usual suburban Halloween suspects. Music thumped from hidden speakers, competing with the sound of 40 adults trying to recapture their youth through alcohol and poor decision-making. I spotted Olivia immediately. She was impossible to miss in her Catwoman costume. Black leather that fit like it had been painted on, complete with ears, a tail, and enough exposed skin to cause 3 traffic accidents. She was laughing at something Susie had said, her hand resting on the arm of a man I didn't recognize. Except I did recognize him. Daniel Morrison, looking exactly like the kind of guy who owned a gym and knew it. Tall, muscled, with the kind of confident smile that suggested he'd never met a mirror he didn't like. He was dressed as Superman, because of course he was. Lucas. Nikki Chen appeared at my elbow, Richard's wife, and the only person at this party who seemed genuinely happy to see me. Love the pirate look. Very swashbuckling. Thanks. I see we have some new faces tonight. Oh, you mean Daniel? Susie insisted we invite him. Said he was new to the neighborhood and needed to meet people. New to the neighborhood. Right. Seems like he's meeting people just fine. Nikki followed my gaze to where Daniel was demonstrating some kind of exercise move to Olivia, his hands on her waist to show proper form. In the middle of a Halloween party. Because that was totally normal. Men, Nikki said with disgust, give them an excuse to touch a woman and they turn into personal trainers. I'm going to get a drink. Get me one too. Something strong enough to make Richard's vampire costume look convincing. I pushed through the crowd toward the bar, catching fragments of conversation as I passed. The usual party chatter, work complaints, vacation plans, gossip about neighbors who weren't present to defend themselves, the background noise of suburban life, normally comforting in its predictability. Tonight, it felt like static. Lucas. Susie materialized beside me, dressed as a witch in a costume that somehow managed to be both family-friendly and suggestive. Having fun? It's early yet. Your wife looks incredible. That costume is perfect on her. She certainly seems to be enjoying the attention. Susie's smile faltered for just a moment. What do you mean? Nothing. Just making an observation. Daniel's a great guy. Really successful. Owns that new gym on Maple Street. You should talk to him. I'm sure we'll get acquainted. He's actually an old friend of Olivia's. From college. Small world, right? Small world. Or carefully orchestrated reunion? Right, I said. Funny how these coincidences happen. I grabbed 2 beers and headed back to Nikki, but stopped when I heard raised voices from the other side of the room. A group had gathered around the big screen TV where some kind of argument was brewing. Superman would destroy the Hulk, Daniel was saying, his voice carrying over the music. It's not even close. You're insane, replied Tom Bradley, one of our neighbors. The Hulk gets stronger the angrier he gets. Superman has limits. Superman is literally invincible. He's vulnerable to kryptonite. How much kryptonite is the Hulk carrying around? The crowd was taking sides, alcohol fueling what should have been a friendly debate. I could see where this was heading. Testosterone-fueled stupidity disguised as intellectual discourse. What do you think, Lucas? Daniel called out, spotting me in the crowd. Superman or Hulk? Every face turned toward me, including Olivia's. She looked worried, like she knew something I didn't. I think they're both fictional characters created to sell comic books to people who want to believe in simple solutions to complex problems. The crowd laughed, but Daniel's smile didn't reach his eyes. That's a very analytical answer, he said. Not much fun at parties, I bet. I have my moments. I'm sure you do. Daniel stepped closer, and I could smell his cologne, something expensive and aggressive. Olivia tells me you work in advertising. Must be interesting, convincing people to buy things they don't need. Someone has to keep the economy moving. Right. Very noble work. The condescension in his voice was thick enough to cut with a knife. Around us, the party continued, but I could feel the attention of everyone nearby. This was turning into something more than a casual conversation. What kind of work do you do, Daniel? I own a gym. Help people become the best versions of themselves. Physical fitness, mental toughness, that sort of thing. Ah, so you convince people to buy memberships they won't use. We're in similar businesses. Daniel's jaw tightened. Not really. What I do actually helps people. I'm sure it does. Maybe you should stop by sometime. You look like you could use some help in the fitness department. The crowd went quiet. Even the music seemed to fade into the background. This was no longer friendly banter. It was a challenge, issued in front of my wife and all our friends. Thanks for the offer, I said, but I'm pretty comfortable with who I am. Comfortable. Yeah, I can see that. He looked me up and down, making sure everyone noticed the comparison between his Superman physique and my decidedly mortal frame. Then his eyes found Olivia, and he smiled. "Some people are built for comfort," he said. "Others are built for excitement." That's when I should have walked away. Should have been the bigger man, the mature adult who doesn't rise to obvious bait. Instead, I stepped closer. And some people peak in college and spend the rest of their lives trying to recapture their glory days. Daniel's face flushed red. "What did you say?" "I think you heard me." "Lucas." Olivia appeared between us, her hand on my chest. "Maybe we should—" "No, let him finish," Daniel said. "I want to hear what the ad man has to say. I think I've said enough. Come on, don't stop now. You were just getting interesting." The crowd had formed a circle around us, phones appearing as people sensed drama brewing. This was exactly what Daniel wanted, a public confrontation where his physical advantages would be obvious to everyone. "Guys, come on," Richard interjected, trying to play peacemaker. "It's a party." "It's fine," Daniel said, not taking his eyes off me. "We're just getting to know each other." "Right, Lucas?" "Right." "Good. Because I'd hate for there to be any misunderstandings between us." The threat was clear, delivered with a smile that made it seem almost friendly. Almost. "I don't think there are any misunderstandings," I said. "Everything seems pretty clear to me." Daniel nodded slowly, then clapped me on the shoulder hard enough to make me step back. "Great. Glad we're on the same page." He turned to Olivia, his hand finding the small of her back with practiced ease. "Want to dance?" I love this song. Olivia glanced at me, her expression unreadable. For a moment I thought she might say no, might choose her husband over her ex-boyfriend in front of all our friends. Instead, she smiled. "I'd love to." They moved toward the makeshift dance floor, leaving me standing in a circle of neighbors who were trying very hard to pretend they hadn't just witnessed my public humiliation. "Another beer?" Nikki asked quietly. "Yeah," I said, watching my wife dance with another man. "Make it a strong one." 2 weeks later, I was standing in the bridal suite of Hawthorne Manor, watching Olivia put the finishing touches on her makeup. She looked radiant in her wedding dress, a flowing white gown that had cost more than my car and made her look like a fairy tale princess. Too bad the fairy tale was a lie. "You look beautiful," I said, because that's what husbands are supposed to say on their wedding day, even when they know their wife has been texting her ex-boyfriend every day since the Halloween party. "Thank you." She smiled at me in the mirror, and for a moment, I almost believed we could make this work. Almost believed that whatever was happening with Daniel was just a phase, a moment of weakness that we could overcome. Then her phone buzzed with another text, and the moment shattered. "Susie?" I asked. "Just last-minute coordination stuff." Of course it was. I'd spent the past 2 weeks planning this day with military precision, but not in the way most grooms do. While Olivia thought I was obsessing over flower arrangements and seating charts, I was actually orchestrating something much more elaborate. Richard knocked on the door. "Ready, buddy?" "The guests are getting restless." "Almost." I straightened my tie and took one last look at my wife. "Olivia, is there anything you want to tell me before we do this?" She turned from the mirror, her expression suddenly guarded. "What do you mean?" "Just anything. Last chance for complete honesty." For a moment, I thought she might confess, might tell me about Daniel, about the messages, about whatever plan she and Susie had been hatching. Instead, she walked over and kissed my cheek. "I love you, Lucas. That's all that matters." "Right. That's all that matters." The ceremony was being held in the main hall, a grand room with vaulted ceilings and enough flowers to stock a botanical garden. 200 guests filled the chairs, family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors, all dressed in their finest clothes and ready to witness our eternal commitment to each other. I took my place at the altar, Richard beside me as my best man. The officiant, A friend of Olivia's family smiled reassuringly as the music began. "You okay?" Richard whispered. "Never better." The bridesmaids processed down the aisle, Susie leading the way in a dress that somehow managed to upstage everyone except the bride. She winked at someone in the audience, and I followed her gaze to see Daniel sitting in the back row, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Perfect. He'd gotten my invitation. Then the wedding march began, and Olivia appeared at the back of the hall on her father's arm. The crowd stood, 200 people turning to admire the beautiful bride walking toward her future. She was stunning. Even knowing what I knew, even planning what I was about to do, I had to admit she looked absolutely perfect. The dress, the flowers, the way the light caught her hair. It was everything a bride should be. The ceremony began with the usual words about love and commitment until death do us part. I said my lines when prompted, slipped the ring on her finger at the appropriate moment, smiled for the photographer who was capturing every second of our perfect day. "Do you, Olivia Marie Henderson, take Lucas to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, for better or worse, till death do you part?" "I do." The words came out clear and strong, without a hint of hesitation. She was good at this. The performance, the lie, the complete commitment to the facade. "And do you, Lucas James Morrison, take Olivia to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, for better or worse, till death do you part?" This was it, the moment of truth. I could say yes, go through with the charade, pretend I didn't know about Daniel and hope for the best. I could be the good husband, the understanding partner, the man who forgives and forgets. Instead, I looked at Richard and nodded. "Actually," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the suddenly silent hall, "I have something to say first." The officiant looked confused. "I'm sorry?" Before I answer that question, I think everyone should know exactly what kind of marriage they're witnessing. A murmur ran through the crowd. Olivia's face went pale. "Lucas, what are you doing?" "I'm being honest. Something we should have tried earlier." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone, where I'd loaded screenshots of the group chat messages. Richard, following our rehearsed plan, moved to the sound system and connected his own phone. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share some messages my beautiful bride has been exchanging with her ex-boyfriend. You know, for context." The first screenshot appeared on the large screen we'd installed for the photo slideshow. Daniel's face, followed by his message, "Can't wait to see you tonight." It's been too long. Gasps echoed through the hall. Olivia grabbed my arm. "Stop this. Please." "Oh, we're just getting started." The next message appeared, Olivia's response about her costume, followed by Susie's encouragement and the suggestion that they get a room. "Lucas!" Olivia's mother stood up in the front row. "What is the meaning of this?" "The meaning, Mrs. Henderson, is that your daughter has been planning to cheat on me with her ex-boyfriend. On our wedding day, actually." I gestured toward the back of the hall, where Daniel was trying to sink lower in his seat. "Stand up, Daniel. Don't be shy. You're the guest of honor." "This is insane," Susie hissed from her position with the bridesmaids. "You're ruining everything." "I'm not ruining anything. I'm just revealing what was already ruined." More messages appeared on the screen, weeks of flirtation, planning, and promises. The crowd was in full murmur now, phones appearing as people started recording the spectacular implosion of what was supposed to be a perfect wedding. "You want to know the best part?" I continued, my voice steady despite the chaos around me. Daniel thought he was coming here to sweep Olivia off her feet, to interrupt the ceremony and win back his true love. I sent him an invitation, told him Olivia was only marrying me because she thought he didn't want her. Daniel was on his feet now, his face red with embarrassment and anger. "You son of a—" "Language, Daniel. There are children present." "Lucas, stop this madness." Olivia's father had joined his wife in the front row, both of them looking like they wanted to disappear into the floor. "It's not madness, Mr. Henderson. It's justice. Your daughter wanted a movie ending, a dramatic, romantic gesture. Well, here it is." I turned to face Olivia, who was crying now, her perfect makeup running in black streams down her cheeks. "So to answer your question," I said to the officiant, "no. I do not take this woman to be my wife. I don't take liars, cheaters, or people who think marriage is just a backup plan when their real choice isn't available." The hall erupted. Olivia's mother collapsed back into her seat, fanning herself with the wedding program. Daniel was pushing through the crowd, either to escape or to confront me. I couldn't tell which, and didn't care. Guests were on their feet, some recording, others arguing, all of them witnessing the most spectacular wedding disaster in Hawthorne Pines history. "This is where the movie ends for you, Olivia," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Enjoy your happy ending." I walked down the aisle, past the shocked faces and raised phones, past the expensive flowers and ruined dreams. Richard followed, grinning like he'd just witnessed the greatest show on earth. "That was amazing," he whispered as we reached the exit. "That was just the beginning." Behind us, the hall was in complete chaos. Olivia was sobbing. Susie was trying to comfort her while simultaneously texting frantically, and Daniel was being escorted out by security after someone, probably Olivia's father, had called him several unflattering names. The perfect wedding had become the perfect disaster, and it was all being live-streamed to social media by half the guests. By tomorrow, everyone in Hawthorne Pines would know exactly what kind of woman Olivia Henderson really was. The revenge was just getting started. The wedding disaster went viral within hours. By Monday morning, #HawthornePinesWedding was trending on 3 different social media platforms, complete with video clips, memes, and commentary from strangers who'd never heard of our little suburb but couldn't resist a good public humiliation story. I was sitting in my home office, watching the chaos unfold online while nursing my 3rd cup of coffee, when my phone rang. Richard's name appeared on the screen. "You're famous," he said without preamble. "So I've noticed. Channel 7 wants an interview. Something about modern relationships and social media justice." Hard pass. "Come on, you could be the poster boy for wronged husbands everywhere." "I'm not done yet." "What do you mean?" I scrolled through the neighborhood Facebook group, where the wedding video had been shared 47 times in the past 12 hours. The comments were split between people calling me a hero and others suggesting I'd gone too far. I mean, this was just the opening act. Olivia and her friends humiliated me at that party, planned to make me look like a fool at my own wedding. They want to play games? Fine. But they're playing by my rules now. "Lucas, maybe you should—" "I have to go. Daniel's gym opens in an hour, and I have a membership to cancel." Iron Paradise Fitness was located in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation office, which seemed fitting for a business built on helping people pretend to be something they weren't. The parking lot was full of expensive cars belonging to people who could afford both the gym membership and the luxury vehicles they drove to work out in. Daniel was at the front desk when I walked in, wearing a tight t-shirt that showcased his physique and talking to a blonde woman in yoga pants who was hanging on his every word. He looked up when he saw me, his expression shifting from surprise to wariness. "Lucas, I didn't expect to see you here." "I bet you didn't." The blonde woman looked between us, sensing tension but not understanding its source. "Is this a friend of yours, Danny?" "Something like that." Daniel forced a smile. "Lisa, why don't you go start your warm-up? I'll be right there." She left reluctantly, glancing back at us as she headed toward the cardio equipment. Daniel waited until she was out of earshot before speaking. "Look, about the wedding. Save it. I'm not here for an apology." "Then what do you want?" I reached into my jacket and pulled out a manila envelope, thick with papers. "I want to cancel my membership." "You don't have a membership here." "I know, but I thought you might be interested in canceling someone else's. I opened the envelope and spread its contents across the front desk. Printed screenshots of the group chat, photos from the Halloween party showing Daniel and Olivia in intimate conversation, and several other documents I'd been preparing over the past few weeks. What is this? Evidence, documentation. The kind of stuff that ends up on the internet when people don't learn from their mistakes. Daniel's face went red. Are you threatening me? I'm educating you. See, the thing about small towns is that reputation matters. People talk, word spreads, and suddenly your business is affected by your personal choices. You can't prove anything happened between us. I don't have to prove anything happened. I just have to prove you wanted it to happen. And, brother, do I have proof? I pulled out my phone and showed him the Iron Paradise Fitness Facebook page, where I'd been busy over the weekend. 5 fake accounts, all with detailed stories about Daniel's unprofessional behavior with female clients. Nothing actionable, nothing that could be proven false, just enough doubt to make people think twice about joining his gym. You son of a bitch. Language, Daniel. You're at work. You can't do this. This is harassment. This is capitalism. Bad reputation equals bad business. You should understand that. Around us, the gym was filling with the morning crowd. Housewives, retirees, and people who worked flexible schedules. Several of them were watching our conversation with interest, probably wondering why the owner looked like he was about to have a stroke. What do you want? Daniel asked quietly. I want you to leave town. Close the gym, break your lease, disappear from Hawthorne Pines forever. That's insane. I have a business here, clients, employees. You have a failing business with a damaged reputation and a lease you can't afford because half your members are going to cancel when they find out what kind of man you really are. I wasn't bluffing. Over the weekend, I'd contacted 15 of his members, all friends or neighbors who joined Iron Paradise because it was convenient. I'd shared the wedding video, explained Daniel's role in the drama, and suggested they might be more comfortable at a gym owned by someone with better moral character. 12 of them had already called to cancel their memberships. You're destroying my life over a woman who doesn't even want you. I'm destroying your life because you tried to destroy mine. The woman is irrelevant now. She loved me first, and she'll love someone else next. That's what people like Olivia do. They move on to whoever offers them the most excitement. You think you're special? You're just the latest distraction. Daniel's hands were clenched into fists, and for a moment, I thought he might actually hit me. Instead, he leaned across the desk, his voice low and dangerous. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. I gathered up the papers and put them back in the envelope, leaving one screenshot on the desk, the message where Olivia had suggested they get a room. Keep that, I said. Something to remember her by. I was almost to the door when I heard the crash. Daniel had swept everything off the front desk in a fit of rage, sending a computer monitor, papers, and a potted plant flying. The entire gym stopped what they were doing to stare at their owner's meltdown. Perfect, I said, pulling out my phone to record the aftermath. That'll make a great addition to my collection. By the time I got home, Daniel's tantrum was already online, courtesy of 3 different gym members who'd filmed it from various angles. The comments were brutal, people calling him unprofessional, unstable, and exactly the kind of person they didn't want handling their fitness goals. Iron Paradise Fitness would be closed within a month. I was sure of it. But I wasn't done with Daniel yet. That evening, I drove to his apartment complex, a luxury development where young professionals paid premium rent to live in spaces designed to look more expensive than they were. Daniel's silver BMW was parked in its assigned spot, gleaming under the parking lot lights. I'd brought supplies. The glitter bomb was Richard's idea, inspired by a prank video we'd seen online. The pink paint was my addition, along with the note I tucked under his windshield wiper, for the real star of the show. By morning, Daniel's car looked like it had been attacked by a unicorn with anger management issues. The glitter was embedded in the paint, the pink was everywhere, and the whole mess was going to cost him thousands to fix. More importantly, it was going to be impossible to hide. I was having breakfast when my phone rang. Nikki's name appeared on the screen. "Richard told me what you did," she said. "Which part?" "The car, the gym, all of it. And I think Olivia got exactly what she deserved. But Lucas, you need to be careful. People are starting to talk. Let them talk. I'm serious. Susie's been calling everyone, trying to get support for Olivia. She's telling people you've lost your mind, that you're dangerous." "Dangerous?" "I haven't touched anyone. I know that. But she's convincing, and people are starting to choose sides." I looked out my kitchen window at the house across the street, where Mrs. Patterson was walking her dog. She saw me and quickly looked away, hurrying past like I might be contagious. Let me guess. Team Olivia is winning? It's not that simple. A lot of people think what she did was wrong, but they also think your reaction was extreme. Public humiliation, destroying Daniel's business, it's making some folks uncomfortable. Good. Comfortable people don't change anything. Lucas, I'm worried about you. Don't be. I know exactly what I'm doing. But as I hung up the phone and watched Mrs. Patterson disappear around the corner, I wondered if that was really true. The revenge felt good, felt justified, but it was also changing me, making me harder, more calculating, less like the man I'd been before I discovered those messages on Olivia's tablet. Maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Maybe the old Lucas had been too soft, too trusting, too willing to be everyone's second choice. The new Lucas wasn't going to make that mistake. 3 weeks after the wedding disaster, they came for me. I was in my living room, working on my laptop and enjoying the quiet of my newly single life, when I saw the headlights in my driveway. 3 cars, Olivia's white Lexus, Susie's red Mazda, and Daniel's replacement vehicle, a black pickup truck that screamed overcompensation. "Showtime," I muttered, closing the laptop and walking to the window. They were all there, huddled together in my driveway like a war council planning their final assault. Olivia looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and even from a distance, I could see the dark circles under her eyes. The past 3 weeks hadn't been kind to her. Good. Daniel was gesturing angrily, probably working himself up for another tantrum. His gym had closed 2 days ago, unable to recover from the mass exodus of members and the negative reviews that kept appearing online. He'd been staying at Susie's house, according to the neighborhood gossip network, which meant Dominic Martinez was either the most understanding husband in history or completely oblivious to what was happening under his own roof. Susie looked nervous, constantly checking her phone and glancing around like she expected cameras to appear. Which was smart because I'd installed a security system the week before, cameras covering every angle of my property, all connected to a live stream that was currently broadcasting to the Hawthorne Pines neighborhood Facebook group. 237 people were watching. They approached my front door together, a united front of betrayal and desperation. I waited until they knocked before answering, opening the door just wide enough to show my face. Well, well. The gang's all here. "We need to talk," Olivia said, her voice hoarse from crying or yelling or both. "Do we?" "I thought we covered everything at the wedding. Lucas, please. Just let us in." 5 minutes. Why would I do that? "Because this has gone far enough," Daniel said, stepping forward. "You've made your point." "Have I?" "What point would that be?" "That you're angry. That we hurt you." "Fine. But destroying people's lives isn't the answer." I laughed, actually laughed out loud. "Destroying lives? That's rich, coming from you. You cost me my business. You cost yourself your business. I just helped people see who you really are. You manipulated them, lied to them. I showed them evidence. There's a difference. Susie pushed forward, her face flushed with anger. You're sick, Lucas. This obsession with revenge. It's not normal. Normal? You want to talk about normal? Is it normal to help your best friend cheat on her husband? Is it normal to orchestrate affairs and then act like the victim when there are consequences? You never what? Never encouraged Olivia to reconnect with Daniel? Never set up their little reunion at the Halloween party? Never helped them plan their romantic rendezvous? Susie's face went pale. Behind her, I could see Dominic's truck pulling into my driveway. He got out slowly, his expression unreadable as he approached the group. What's going on here? He asked. Just a friendly neighborhood chat, I said. Your wife was just explaining how helping people cheat is totally normal behavior. Dominic looked at Susie, confusion and suspicion warring on his face. What's he talking about? Nothing. He's trying to cause trouble. Am I? I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots I'd been saving for this moment. Because I have some very interesting text messages here. Want to see them, Dominic? Don't, Susie whispered. These are from last month. Your wife and Daniel making plans to meet at the Marriott downtown. Very detailed plans. Dominic's face went red. Show me. Dominic, don't listen to him. Show me the messages. I handed him the phone. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of Dominic's heavy breathing as he scrolled through the evidence of his wife's infidelity. You were sleeping with him too? He asked quietly. Susie's silence was answer enough. Both of you? Dominic looked between his wife and Daniel. At the same time? It wasn't like that, Daniel said quickly. It was just what? Just a coincidence that you were screwing two married women simultaneously? Dominic, please. Susie reached for him, but he stepped back like she was radioactive. Don't. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Don't even look at me. He threw my phone back to me and walked toward his truck. Susie followed, begging him to listen, to understand, to forgive. He ignored her completely, getting in his vehicle and driving away without a backward glance. Susie stood in my driveway, abandoned and humiliated, finally understanding what it felt like to be betrayed by someone you trusted. Happy now? Olivia asked, tears streaming down her face. Getting there. You've destroyed everything. Our marriage, Daniel's business, Susie's family. I didn't destroy anything. I revealed what was already broken. We made mistakes. You made choices. There's a difference. Daniel stepped forward, his hands clenched into fists. Enough. This ends now. Does it? How exactly does it end, Daniel? You're going to take down those videos, delete those posts, and leave us alone. Or what? Or I'll make you. I smiled, the first genuine smile I'd felt in weeks. There it is. The real Daniel Morrison. When manipulation doesn't work, when charm fails, we resort to violence. I'm not violent. No? Then what are you doing right now? Standing on my property, threatening me, trying to intimidate me into silence? I'm trying to reason with you. By threatening physical violence. Very reasonable. I gestured toward the security cameras I'd installed, their red recording lights clearly visible in the darkness. Say hello to the internet, Daniel. 250 people are watching you threaten me right now. His face went white as he realized what was happening. The live stream had been recording everything. Susie's affair exposed, Dominic's humiliation, and now Daniel's threats. You bastard! Careful! Your true colors are showing. Lucas, please, Olivia said, desperation clear in her voice. I'll do anything. Just stop this. Anything. Would you have done anything to save our marriage? Would you have chosen me over him if I'd asked? She hesitated, and in that hesitation I had my answer. That's what I thought. I loved you. You loved the idea of me. The security, the stability, the backup plan when your real choice wasn't available. But you never loved me. That's not true. Isn't it? Then why are you here with him instead of trying to win me back? Why are you more concerned about his reputation than our relationship? She looked between Daniel and me, torn between her past and her present, unable to choose because she'd never learned to make difficult decisions. I don't know, she whispered. I do. You don't love either of us. You love the drama, the attention, the feeling of being wanted by multiple people. We're just accessories in your personal soap opera. Stop, Daniel said. Just stop talking. Why? Because the truth hurts? Because you're realizing that you destroyed your life for a woman who would do the same thing to you the moment someone more exciting came along? She's not like that. She's exactly like that. And deep down, you know it. I could see the doubt creeping into his eyes, the realization that everything I was saying was true. Olivia wasn't the prize he'd been fighting for. She was the poison that had destroyed 2 marriages and counting. This is over, he said finally. We're done here. Yes, you are. They turned to leave, a defeated trio of conspirators whose grand plan had collapsed under the weight of their own selfishness. But I wasn't finished yet. Oh, and Daniel? You might want to check your credit report. Turns out someone's been using your personal information to sign up for some very interesting websites, the kind that send magazines to your home address. His face went purple with rage. You son of a… Language, Daniel. There are neighbors watching. He took a step toward me, but Olivia grabbed his arm. Don't. He's not worth it. Listen to her, I said. She's finally giving good advice. They retreated to their cars, but I had one more surprise waiting. As Daniel reached for his truck door, the sprinkler system I'd installed that afternoon activated, drenching all 3 of them in ice-cold water. The timing was perfect. The cameras caught everything, and the neighborhood Facebook group exploded with comments and reactions. Olivia screamed, Susie cursed, and Daniel slipped on the wet pavement, falling hard onto his back in a puddle of muddy water. Oops, I called out from my dry front porch. System malfunction. I'll have to get that fixed. They scrambled into their vehicles, soaked and humiliated, and drove away into the night. I watched their taillights disappear around the corner, then walked back into my house and poured myself a drink. The live stream was still going, comments pouring in faster than I could read them. The video would be shared thousands of times by morning, ensuring that everyone in town, and probably half the internet, would know exactly what had happened in my driveway. Olivia's real estate career was over. Daniel would never be able to show his face in Hawthorne Pines again, and Susie would be lucky if Dominic didn't take everything in the divorce. I raised my glass to the camera and smiled. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. This has been Lucas Morrison, broadcasting live from Hawthorne Pines, where the lawns are green, the secrets are dirty, and justice is served ice-cold. I took a sip of my drink and continued. To everyone watching, remember that actions have consequences, choices have prices, and sometimes the quiet guy in the corner is the one you should worry about most. The comments were going crazy, people cheering and laughing and sharing their own stories of betrayal and revenge. And to anyone thinking about cheating on their spouse, lying to their friends, or manipulating people for their own entertainment, take notes. Because this is what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. I finished my drink and walked to the window, looking out at the peaceful suburban street where I'd built my life with a woman who'd never deserved it. To new beginnings, I said, raising my empty glass to the night, and to never settling for second best. The live stream ended, but the legend was just beginning. In the months that followed, the video would become internet famous, spawning memes, reaction videos, and countless discussions about modern relationships and social media justice. Olivia moved back in with her parents and eventually left town, her reputation too damaged to recover. Daniel disappeared completely, his social media accounts deleted, and his forwarding address unknown. Susie's divorce made the local news when Dominic's lawyer used my evidence to ensure she got nothing in the settlement. And me? I became something of a local celebrity, the man who'd turned public humiliation into an art form. People pointed me out in restaurants, asked for selfies at the grocery store, and invited me to parties where I was inevitably asked to tell the story one more time. I never remarried. Didn't need to. I'd learned the most important lesson of my life. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting everything. And I'd gotten everything I wanted: justice, vindication, and the satisfaction of knowing that 3 people who'd thought they were smarter than me had learned otherwise in the most public way possible. The quiet guy in the corner had won.